Good morning. Cut week 9. Hi, buddy. 156.6 pounds is what I weighed in at this morning. I'm super happy with how I look, and I've actually, this past week, I've increased my calories kind of like just below maintenance. I have been just increasing my training volume like crazy. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, as I did just wake up and I kind of want to get ready for this run that I'm about to do. I also want to get body measurements in, see where I'm at with that. So I will talk about it later. But yeah, this is what I look like right now, obviously. Super happy with the way I look right now. I can start to see leg definition, which is where I carry most of my fat, is like knees up to here. Obviously I have ab definition, but that's like I still have a lot of fat right here in my love handles, like especially in the back, and then kind of like in the lower stomach area, and then face fat. Still a lot of face fat, but I'm flexing my abs right now a little bit, and then this is me not flex. I'm really happy with the way I look because I feel amazing. But I'll talk about my calorie intake and diet later, and then also just training volume overall. So yeah, I'll see you later. Yo, pre-run, I'm eating 2 of these. I think they're like 170 grams for both, and then some honey. I'm not eating this whole thing, but this is just, I'm scooping it right out of the jar and putting salt on it. So yeah. I'm so stoked. I was like, didn't want to make the video because I just want to dig in. Banana pancakes with almond butter and chocolate syrup, and then I'm gonna have a chocolate protein shake to get some added protein. I do have some egg. I used egg whites, so there is some protein in these. But yeah, I'm gonna dig in. Macros are on the screen. Super solid run for me. I'll put the stats like right here. But I'm just super proud that I was able to run over 6 miles and at an 11-minute pace. It was relatively flat. There was some uphill, some decline, and it was actually kind of funny. We kept having to turn around because the trail that we initially would want to go on or like go explore, there was so much water, just from the recent flooding, that the terrain is just completely different. And so there's just pools of water that are usually not there. But we still had fun, got the 6 miles in, and we were getting near the end, like back to the parking lot, and I was like, I could probably keep going actually. Like I felt really good, and I feel really good now. Granted, I'm sitting, but when I was walking around, like just kind of doing chores and activities and eating, I didn't have any pain. I got a good amount of like stretching in, especially like after the post run. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm gonna let my food kind of chill out. I've got my church service up. They're just doing announcements right now. So I couldn't shut my brain off for the video. And what I'm going to do is hit some like low impact leg exercises, but really train for strength. I'm going to try and load super heavy. And then I'm also going to do some kind of mobility stuff just to keep everything feeling good and hopefully pain free the next few days after I recover. But yeah, I'm super stoked that my training volume is up, and I will talk a little bit about that soon. That is solid. Oh no, caterpillar's coming towards me. On the stick. Oh, perfect. It's going the opposite way now. Just don't want to smush it. Damn. I do not want to do another set of those. Holy shit. My legs are cooked. Oh my gosh. Oh, I need to walk that off. Wow. There we go. Wow. Wow. I'm also going to stay light with the RDLs, just doing 95 pounds. Nice and easy. really aiming for power. On my way to go for my run, I woke up, like, it was hard for me to sleep last night because I was so excited for my run. And the moments, like, from waking up and having to record some clips, I was just so stoked. And on my drive there, I just realized, like, how full my life is right now. And I don't mean like my schedule, although my schedule is like, I do have a lot going on and it's stressing me out a little bit and having to pull back on certain things to make room for others, like training. But being able to focus in on certain hobbies, goals, and passions and filling my time with those, I finally feel like I am living a fulfilling and meaningful life. Like, there have definitely been times in my life where I felt similarly and everything feels like it's aligning with, I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but God's purpose for me, serving others through my own experiences. But right now, I mean, 2 years ago when I first moved here, it was just empty. I isolated from friends. I didn't feel like I had family. I don't have parents that I can rely on. And I didn't think I had friends that I could rely on because everyone just felt so fake. And I felt fake being around them because I didn't feel like I could be myself. And over the course of 2 years, I have found self-worth. I have realized that I'm capable of doing more. I have like, I suffer from imposter syndrome like severely, and I'm just now starting to try and cope a little bit, like in the moments when I really feel it, and just remind myself, like, I don't need to be the best, and I set really high expectations. It's okay not to always meet those expectations, and maybe just practice having high expectations, but also having, like, allowing myself to just meet the standard and having that also be like an expectation, and knowing that and accepting that I don't need to be the best at everything and I'm not going to be. And something to add about having a fulfilling life, just a month ago, I was pondering what the meaning of life is and what the point of all of this is, and is the reason for living to suffer and struggle, to wake up and need someone else's help, like, not wake up, but be born and need somebody to rely on. And you go your childhood, hopefully with parents you can rely on. Not always can you, and I've definitely learned self-reliance. However, I think I'm too good at it because I isolate and I want to do everything on my own, when I really need to practice asking for help, being okay with people wanting to help. You know, if I'm struggling or not, but like, someone might be like, "Hey, do you want some help or do you want a hand?" Like a team effort versus just being like, "No, I got this." When I might have it and not need help, I could still allow that person to enter whatever I might be doing and just have, like, I want to almost say culture. Community would be a better word. But why I wanted to say culture is because within my community, I want to build a culture of, it's okay to ask for help. Anyways, I have been rambling on and I need to get my set in. I'm just going to go slow on these. Definitely have more in the tank, but I'm going to stop there because I really wanted to focus on getting a weighted stretch, just like doing light work right now post run. I don't want to overdo anything and make my recovery way longer than it needs to be, because I do want to go running again in a couple days. I have a long drive. Well, it's not a long drive. 4.5 hour drive, depending on traffic. I'm really hoping that's like without traffic. And then I have like a little orientation that I am going to for career firefighting for the physical test. I know I can pass the physical test, no problem, but I want to walk into the testing center confident, knowing what I need to do. So I'm going to this orientation just to check it out, get some hands on before I take my test. And then I'll drive back home, and I've got a banquet to go to. So I'll just get loaded up with fatty foods and not tracking it. So I want to get a run in, have like some light meals, and then just pig out on some free food. It's pot roast and veggies. Last year it was really good, but I remember just being like, "Oh gosh, like I need a nap." And so I'm gonna feel that same way this time around because I'm gonna try to eat as much as I can, maybe go back for seconds, but I want to still stay within my calories for the day, or just barely exceed. On to the next exercise. I've never done this exercise. I've seen it done before and I've always wanted to try it, especially now that I'm really getting into running and my hips kind of hurt after a good run. I'm getting a little spinal flexion. as I do those. Hello. So this is going to be kind of the diet talk and body measurements as well. I'm not going to go too in depth with these, but I do want to just say, so I got body measurements in January. So January 1st, I weighed in at 165.4 pounds. Oh, and I should say that all of these measurements and all my weight that I track, I wake up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and I weigh myself. I don't drink anything. I try to keep it as controlled as possible. The only thing that I don't actually control is like the time that I eat the night before. So January 1st, 165.4 pounds. And I'm just going to tell you the midsection because that's where I was focusing the fat loss the most. When I say focus, I mean focusing my attention, not any particular exercise or movement, because I don't. Anyways, I think that shit's ridiculous. There's time and place for like, yeah, you can grow the muscle and you target the muscle to grow it, but not burning fat loss. Fat loss is going to burn just by a calorie deficit. So my hips, and I think this, I didn't write it down for January 1st, but I think this measurement was the middle, like the widest portion of my hips. So 34.5 inches. My waist was the same, 34.5. Now, March 15th was the next time I measured, and I weighed in at 162.8 pounds. My hips at the top were 32 inches, and the middle was 33 inches. My waist was 33 and 5/8. And then fast forward to today, I weighed in at 156.6 pounds, almost 10 pounds of fat loss since January 1st. I will be showing my weight on the screen. Actually, I'll just do it right now. So you can see where I started, you can see where I'm at now, you can see where I struggled, and I will talk a little bit more about that later and put it up there again. But today, when I measured myself, my hips at the top were 31 inches, in the middle was 32 inches, and the waist was 32.5. So for my hips in the middle, I lost 2.5 inches of fat, and my waist, I lost 2 inches. Pretty damn good considering how much I've struggled with my diet and mental health surrounding the cut and binge eating. So that's something that I'm going to talk about now as well. So you can kind of see when I first weighed myself in January, I was low, and then I have this big spike. I think at that time I wasn't at home. I was living, or I wasn't living, but I was staying, I was dog sitting for somebody, and so I was around all these foods that I normally restrict myself on, and my mental health was pretty low because of the holidays and the stress of it being January. And I was just not, I was struggling. And I turned to food to feel better, right? So I have that jump and I got to 172 point something, and then it comes back down, and then it kind of bounces around. But I pretty much stay on the downhill path in the grand scheme of things, which is the most important. And right now, or in the past 2-3 weeks or so, I have struggled with kind of the same thing, is mental health, like highs and lows surrounding food, where I've experimented with fasting and I've really enjoyed it, and I think it's awesome. However, right now I am increasing my training volume, so my calories also need to increase with that. But I was in such an aggressive cut, and even though I knew that I could increase my calories, I was just like, no, I want to have aggressive fat loss. So I kept my calories here, but my training volume was going up here, and I was more prone to injury. I felt fatigued.
I was still sleeping okay. However, I was struggling with binge eating, and then my sleep was tanking, and just my mental health surrounding my my body and my training. My training, I actually always kind of I felt good about. However, it's that fear of injury was in my head, and I wasn't feeling great because I was really fatigued. And the past week, I've been at just under maintenance calories. I've gotten almost 20 steps a day, whether that's from running or just walking a lot. And on top of that, doing weightlifting. Now I feel fucking fantastic. I am so happy, and I'm no longer having to restrict myself on foods and allowing myself. It's really difficult for me to store food, like whole foods, because my mini fridge is packed. And so turning to ultra processed foods, like you saw early on in this video, I I'm okay with it because my training volume is so high and it's rare. I'm going to post a few more meals that I've had a little later on. Not in this video, but in another video. But when I was in a calorie deficit and I was restricting myself, I was not eating ultra processed foods. I was like eating whole foods, eating really clean, eating really healthy, and I felt really good about what I was eating. However, when I would binge eat, the food that I was restricting myself on, I I would eat it. And I mean, there were even times where I would binge eat on the whole foods just because I my body was like, give me something. Like I need, my body was. I would eat it, and I was just like, I wouldn't even necessarily say that I was still. Sometimes I was still hungry, but most of the time I was just like, I don't know. Maybe I think it was a mental. I think it. Some of it was mental, where it's like this is making me feel good, and then other times I think it was physical, where it's like my body was really craving food, and I'm okay with being hungry. I'm hungry right now, and I feel fine. Like I don't feel like I need to eat. I am going to eat after I finish this clip and kind of edit a little bit more, but I'm not worried about food. Like I think that's the biggest difference this past week of just being under maintenance is my food noise is gone. Like I still think about food. I think about food a lot, but mainly as a fuel source versus what is the next thing I'm going to eat? When am I going to eat it? Like I'm hungry. I need to eat. There's less of a craving response, but more of a what am I going to eat to optimize my training and fuel my body for what I want to do next. So I focus on food in that sense versus like the are you going to eat when are you going to eat kind of a thing. I'm still figuring this out as I go. I understand nutrition. I understand like using it for exercise, how to use it. I'm super excited to see what happens in the next month. So what is it? It's April 12th. This is cut week 9, and I think I'm going to change the title from cut week to something else. I'm still kind of cutting, like I'm still in a minor calorie deficit, but maybe I'll change it to like volume training, and I'll start a different kind of series. So I do want this to be the last one. I did my last physique check, and I look solid. Like I look good. I could look better. That's what I mean by solid. Like I'm happy, and I'm happy with how I look, and I'm accepting it, and I'm still going to continue to look better. However, I want to make gains and perform with my training, and also lose, like, if I lose fat, I lose fat. Would it be nice? Yes. Am I super concerned about losing fat right now? Not anymore. And that's awesome. Even with summer coming up, like, I don't care. Well, I feel comfortable having my shirt off, which is, I was actually thinking about that earlier. I have never really felt comfortable having my shirt off around people, mainly because of my scars, and that is like kind of outing myself. And I've really struggled to feel safe in the place I live, like being around some of the people I'm around. And I have really been working on self acceptance. Like, over the past 4 months, I knew I needed to make a change, and I really was struggling with whether or not to stick with the fire department as a seasonal employee. The fire department's great. Like, there's no hate there, but I'm assuming that there is. Me not being myself or opening up to people, I'm putting judgment on them. Like, I'm worried about how they're going to judge me. Yeah, I'm judging them. Like, I'm not even giving them an opportunity to have an opinion and accept me. Not that their opinion matters, but I do think their acceptance does, because we are a community. And, obviously I want to feel accepted within the community that I'm in. That's just human nature, right? We're community. Like, it's just deep within us, like generational. I got really off topic, but I am comfortable having my shirt off because of I'm accepting myself for who I am, being okay with who I am. And part of that is also with the fat loss. Like, because I've never really taken my shirt off, I've just let myself get fat, and my mental health is all over the place all the time. However, I'm really hoping that this diet plan and new track of training, doing what I love, will help me live a happier and healthier life. And I hope I can help other people too by sharing my experience and telling my story. So this isn't the last video. I'm just starting a new series.
That concludes the Cut Week 9 video. Pretty crazy stuff. It's the longest one so far. I definitely added more than I have in the past. Obviously, it's been pretty basic in the past weeks. I am looking forward. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to do as far as the volume training series. That was kind of just a random thought I had, and decided to run with it in the video, and I will hopefully have it figured out by next Sunday. Yeah. So I'm going to chill out the rest of the day. I might go to the fire department and cook some chicken thighs, but I might just relax, although I am kind of itching to move my body. So I'm going to go for a walk here shortly with the pup. I am already at 21,000 steps, and it's only 3 p.m. There's a lot more to do in the day. So I'm going to go do it. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours. Good luck out there.